Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is gonna be one of them ones, man. You already know the vibes, man. Lil Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles, man. I got a special guest today, man. I really don't do the collab thing that much, but when I do, I try to make sure I bring you guys a real good presentation, something strong. You know what I mean? So before we get into the meat and potatoes, man, I want my guest. You already know this guy, man, but I want my guest to introduce himself, man. You know what I'm saying? What's going on with you, Voch?
Voch Lombardi, John Wick Jr., right brick on my brick. Thanks for having me. Salute, man.
Salute to you, man. Salute to you. So, man, the NFC East, man. I think a lot of teams had some really good drafts. I think almost everybody had a pretty decent draft. How do you feel about the draft in terms of the Dallas Cowboys? How do you feel? Like right now, how do you feel?
So I think the Cowboys had a different kind of draft. Sometimes you'll walk into it and be like, okay, well, we knocked this draft right out the park. I think the Eagles did well. Last year the Cowboys had one of those knock it out the park drafts, right? I think this draft was different. And I don't necessarily like that though, because I don't want to be phony. I always think that you should always take the best guys, regardless of what's going on with your team or whatnot, right? But I think the Cowboys went for a lot of needs. Like they tried to fill up a lot of needs. And part of me hate that. As draft dude, I hate that. But as Cowboy fans, I love it. So instead of going for a projected higher player, we was the worst run defense I've ever seen in my life. So we went straight for run defense. We got linebackers that fix the run defense. We got linebackers that can corner. We got some D linemen that are specifically good at run defense because some of the linemen that we got now, you know what I'm saying, Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore, those are more upfield pass rushy dudes. So it wouldn't make sense to get another pass rushy dude. So if a good pass rushy dude was up there, we opted for the run player. I hated this draft dude, but as a Cowboy fan, I go, all right, so I can't complain about that now. Michael Parsons, I wanted Rashawn Slater because he was the better player on the board, right? You know what I'm saying? Just as a dude that walks in, whoops Chase Young, rarely saw him lose, gave up 1 sack in 4 years. I wanted Rashawn Slater on my team to come in and be new Tyron Smith because in my mind, we had Tyron Smith since 2011, and we ain't had to worry about tackle since then. I thought Slater was going to be that guy. But getting Michael Parsons, I ain't want it, but it makes sense because of what we were deficient in. So I think the Cowboys did well, man. I think the Eagles had like a top 3 draft out of everybody, not just the East or whatever. And
Really?
I'm saying this in May right now, so we ain't fighting necessarily. So I can
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So the Eagles had a top 3 draft, just looking down at players that they got. Draft side of me, right? Players, value, guys that the league was looking for, some of the dudes or whatever. There's some, like injuries and upsides that you got to look into or whatever. But in terms of just guys that I had on my board ranked highly, Eagles had a lot of them, and I can't hate on it. The Giants had a cool top 2 guys or whatever, and the Redskins was, watch the football team was kind of whack at it, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't disagree with anything that you said. So to get this clear, you're one of those guys who prefers drafting the best player available in terms of as opposed to drafting the best player available at the position of need. So we know you needed a linebacker, but you feel like Slater was just the best guy there, and you could get some value out of that guy. So you wanted to go in that direction.
Every single time because draft is a 5-year conversation. First round guys, 5-year conversation. So there was this conversation going around in Cowboy land. It didn't happen, but the whole Kyle Pitts thing, right? So he went to the Falcons, and the Falcons don't need Kyle Pitts, but in real life, it's a 5-year conversation. And Kyle Pitts gonna be there longer than Julio. He's gonna be longer than Calvin and Matt Ryan. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to, oh damn, we need corner, so let's just take Surtain. And Kyle Pitts ended up being Randy Moss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You lock down your quarterback spot, but you don't want to pass on dudes like that. I think Rashawn Slater is a dude like that. I like Parsons, but Parsons is more so of a situational fix this kind of thing guy. Rashawn Slater is to plug that dude in and let him fly. So yeah, I'm 100% take the best player dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that example that you just used though. So in terms of the Kyle Pitts thing, I don't think they needed Kyle Pitts. I think that teams like that should look to kind of go for the best player available at the position of need. Because like you said, Kyle Pitts is going to be there longer than all those other guys. You could turn around and look up, and Kyle Pitts is the only one around. No Julio, Calvin Ridley probably got another deal somewhere. Can you really just run a productive offense with just Kyle Pitts? Based on what everybody think about him, you probably can. But I probably would have went a different way with that one, man. I use this analogy, I use this example all the time. What the Washington football team did last year, they already had a strong front seven. So I don't think Chase was necessarily a need. So then you cut bait with Dwayne Haskins, and now you got Ryan Fitzpatrick with an awesome defense. when you probably could have had Tua. But Tua kind of trash to me now anyway. So but yeah, I think if you I think if you plan it the right way, either way it go, I think you'll be good with that though, man. So yeah, man, yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that the Dallas Cowboys had a draft that just addressed the needs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that they didn't need nothing on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like you dudes did a real good job in making sure that the defense was a priority. So you can never knock that. So I think you guys did well. I thought that I would have sounded crazy if somebody would have said, if I say that we had a top 5 draft, they're going to say I'm delusional. But I'm glad to hear somebody say that we drafted good. I think we did some real good things, man.
Sure.
I really think we did some real good things.
So the Eagles had a lot of like needs or whatever. So like regardless of where you went, you was kind of cool there. I was looking at like maybe like linebacker, corner, wide receiver, offensive line, get younger there or whatever. So y'all really could go BPA and be like, okay, well, we needed that dude anyway. So that's where y'all had the advantage at. We'll just run down the bottom, man. Vontae Smith, bro, he was my wide receiver 1. So you can look at these other guys and you can be like, okay, well, Jalen Waddle's the quicker, faster, vertical guy, big play, yak dude, whatever. Jamar Chase, 2019 season, you ain't got to say much more, but I'm a sucker for nuance, man. I love nuance. I love route runners. And some of your favorite wide receivers in the league, they're like 4 or 5 guys, but what separates them? They route runners, you know what I mean? So if you, Devontae Smith, coming from Alabama, and all them Alabama cats, they all run routes, they all block, they all just naturally get open. Then you take his natural skills, right? He got natural quickness. He got natural length. I think if you line him up in the nickel day one and let him develop into an outside dude, man, Devontae Smith, the value that you got for him, you only gave up a 3rd round pick. You had another one jumping over the Giants because they was going to take him. The sorry Giants, we can talk about it later if you want to. But I think that's a good get right there. Landon Dickerson was one of the top 5 offensive linemen for me as a whole, like not interior, outside center, but just as a whole, because he has film of him playing tackle. He got film of him playing guard, and he was incredible at center. What I like the most about Landon is, how like you can watch some guys' offensive lines and the center will be somebody smaller or they'll be somebody weaker and they'll try to hide the center. When you watch Alabama, Landon is as big as Deontay Brown, the guy next to him at 360 pounds. He's as big as Leatherwood. You know what I mean? So even if Landon is a guy that, okay, man, once I heal up from my knee injury or whatever, because that's what he's dealing with. He's been hurt every single year. So if you could just modern medicine, doctor your way through this, I was sick when y'all got Landon Dickerson. Now, Devontae Smith, I can live with. Okay, that's just whatever. When y'all got Landon, I was sick. That's because O-line is something I wanted to take advantage of in terms of Cowboys versus Eagles. If Landon is healthy, not going to be able to do it. Thing about Milton Williams is, every year you always have this conversation where there's the underground cats, the YouTubers, the beat writers and cats, and then you got like the mainstream people, the GMs, coaches, and all them cats. The GMs like Milton Williams a little more than we did. Now, one thing that you can't deny about Milton Williams is his numbers, his testing, athleticism, things like that. But when I was watching the film at La Tech, he just didn't come off as a very polished player. I like polished guys. I like the product. You can be as athletic as you want to. You can run the same damn 3-cone as some of your wide receivers as you want to. That's cool, but can you apply it? And if you play at La Tech, you line up against like Marshall and Tulane. I want you to smoke them kids. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And Milton Williams from La Tech, he just didn't necessarily smoke them kids. You know what I mean? So I would have liked for him to be more dominant, be more like productive for a La Tech dude, but with his measurables and numbers and all that stuff, you really can't knock him like that. I'm gonna let you go and then we can do these 3x3. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so did you so you guys picked a second linebacker, right?
We did.
Who was he? What was his name again?
Cox from LSU.
Oh man, you got Jabril Cox from LSU.
Cover guy. Mm-hmm.
That was a steal. I was upset. Now that's the one that I was upset about because you got Micah Parsons and then you combine that with a young Jabril Cox. I mean, if the guys who are getting paid the big money in the Dallas linebacking core start to do what they're supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? Combined with these young guys who might end up playing special teams and just some downs when other guys get winded, I think you guys could really be dangerous on defense. So, I tweeted this as it was happening. I'm like, man, listen, Jerry Jones is not missing today. You know what I mean? And I didn't, and to be fair, I didn't know a lot about Landon Collins because I'm not a guy. I just got into watching, college football a lot because you kind of got to when we do this thing of ours. You know what I'm saying? You got to know what's going on. When I look at Landon Dickerson's film, I look at him as a guy that don't stop until the whistle is over. He is hitting people relentlessly.
Yep.
And you need somebody nasty like that. And I feel good having Landon Dickerson on our offensive line because we got some dominant defensive fronts in our division, man. We got some dominant defensive fronts in our division. My next question was Garrett or McCarthy, man. Who would you rather run with right now? You saw a whole season of McCarthy. I know you really probably can't judge it based upon what happened to Dak Prescott, but just coaching style alone, who do you think is the better coach? Now I'll give you my answer before I let you go because your answer obviously going to be more important. You the Dallas Cowboys guy, but I kind of feel like the Clapper was a little better.
So I never seen guys quit on Jason Garrett. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point, man.
You know what I'm saying? So head coach in the league ain't like head coach in high school and college or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Head coaches in high school and college call plays or whatever. They do all these other things, but head coaches in the league, they just kind of like facilitate or whatever. They just boom, boom, boom. I'm not making excuses for Jason Garrett because he wasn't good enough to get over the hump, right? And that's basically that's how you make your money coaching wise, right? But in terms of when his quarterback was healthy and he had competent coaches around him, Jason Garrett was always a playoff quarterback. He only had 2 losing seasons. We went 8-8 a lot, but I can look at, Chris Richard and say that he was terrible. I can look at Monty Kiffin and say that he was terrible. A lot of the times your head coaches are as good as your coordinators, right? Because it's a machine. You just running that machine, man. Nick Saban can be this run heavy guy, but then when you bring in Kiffin, now we throwing the ball all over the place. So that's just his machine. I think Jason Garrett, it's not no coincidence that when Kellen Moore got there, the offense went totally different. I think if you'd have had Jason Garrett with a better defensive mind, he'd have been just fine. That's just how I feel. Mike McCarthy made questionable personnel decisions or whatever, right? We always go back to that underground and like media guys, right? I'm looking at some of the underground cats, guys like me, YouTubers, Twitter people or whatnot. And, it's just some players that should have been on the field early. What we saw later on in the season, Mike McCarthy made some player changes or whatever, but the players that he put on the field was the guys that the people on Twitter were talking about. You should play these people. We have this right tackle, Terrence Steele. Horrible. Worst right tackle I've ever seen play. He was a rookie. And it's not like he was just horrible because he was a Cowboy. When I was scouting him out of Texas Tech, I'm like, man, that's one of the worst kids I've ever seen in my life. He went to the Senior Bowl, one of the worst kids I've ever seen in my life. And there was this dude that we had last year, Brandon Knight, who was like a 6th-round pick, but he showed that he could play. We started the worst kid I've ever seen in my life over Brandon Knight. We had like safety controversy. We had linebacker issue. Why is it taking so long to sit Jalen Smith? Why is it taking so long to do? I at least seen Jason Garrett sit people when they was terrible. Mm-hmm. Mike McCarthy just kind of sit around and just wait. You know what I mean? He'll just wait.
Just wait till the building on fire, man. I agree. So you got a problem with favoritism ball. I got the same problem with that. Right. Like running around with 45-year-old Darren Sproles, what Doug Peterson was doing when you should have put somebody else in there who was averaging more yards per carry and stuff like that. Sure. So I get exactly where you're coming from with that. So, yeah, that's a big thing. And that's not what you want as a coach. We just let a guy go who do things like that. Right. So I feel you on that one. We're gonna double back just real quick a little bit. So the Philadelphia Eagles, we trade up, you know what I'm saying? We get in front of the New York Giants. First of all, I want your opinion on this first. The last game of the season, we arguably tanked. Do you agree with stuff like that if you think it's a tank? Do you think we were in the wrong for losing the game for better draft position, which ultimately helped us get Devontae Smith? I just want to know your thoughts on that one before we talk about the Giants real quick.
I hate the old guard's take on that you play to win the game. It doesn't make you better. That's cute, but when you look at the 3rd overall pick, the Dolphins got it, and they got a haul for that pick. You know what I mean? So in my mind, when Dak Prescott went down, that's ball game. That's it. Andy Dalton is not going to take us to prosperity. So in my mind, hey man, let's just see. We're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. So why are we putting our resources towards trying to go 8-8, trying to go 9-7 until Andy Dalton runs out of arm strength or whatever? And that's what happens. Andy Dalton, went out there and he beat some bad teams, and we ended up with the 10th overall pick when we could have had a 3rd overall pick. So you may say, tanking is bad for the culture, but you know what's good for the culture? Getting the 3rd round pick. Getting the damn 3rd overall pick and flipping it into picks next year and the year after that. That's what's good for morale. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I saw the Dolphins trade back, I'm like, damn, dog, then my picks just running out the window. So, losing on purpose is kind of weird, but you don't have to go extra to try to win games when it's not looking good for you.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. You know, the main thing that the Giants have been running with all offseason is that we should have did them a favor by beating the Redskins and sending them to the playoffs. But what they don't understand is that we don't like them. We don't
Mm,
like them. You know what I mean? So why would we do something like that? It makes no sense at all. You
right.
know, I have a problem with the Giants feeling like they are deserving of something as a 6-win team. I feel like you just roll the dice and whoever come out of the crappy division represents the division. Because a
Mm.
lot of people, like the guys who aren't underground guys, like the ESPN guys, they feel as though nobody from the division should have been in the playoffs. So, you know, that's just my thing on that, man. I think we did what was best for the franchise. We end up getting the sixth pick. Then we end up trading that sixth pick. Then we end up, you know, trading up and giving you guys a really generous third round pick so we
Yeah.
can get our guy. You
Let
know
me
what
ask
I'm
you a
saying?
question, right? Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question if you don't mind.
But
So I know that let me just give you flowers on this. That me and you are very similar in the way that we stand on what we feel. You know,
I
what I'm saying?
agree.
We may not be able to prove it, but we feel that way. And we gonna feel that way till you prove it wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we ain't gotta get into me and your old fights. But when y'all got the 10th overall pick and Justin Fields is on the board, did you feel comfortable with Hurts with Justin Fields on the board?
That's a good question. Yeah, I felt comfortable with Hurts since the 4 games.
Mhm.
I mean, Hurts got to show me honestly that he not good. I've seen enough out of that small sample size for him to be able to move the ball in ways that Carson Wentz couldn't move the ball. Him being a true dual threat, throwing for 300 passing yards out of 2 of them 4 starts. He showed me Russell Wilson like abilities. I felt like going into this draft that it wasn't a quarterback on the board better than Jalen Hurts. And when we got into that 10th spot, I was scared because I thought that, you know, we would go grab Fields
Mhm.
because you can't be mad at that if that's the case. You really can't. You got to understand the other side of the coin as well. But when we went up and grabbed Devontae Smith, I saw the organization turn a corner. So now we're trying to put pieces around our quarterback while he's young so these guys can come up together. You know what I'm saying? They're trying. They're not just trying to put it all on Hurts. They're trying to put stuff around them. So I was relieved, man. I was relieved, man. I never had a doubt in my mind about Jalen Hurts' ability. Was I hurt the way it went down with Carson? Absolutely. I
Yeah.
didn't even want Carson Wentz to go. I
Yeah.
didn't want Jalen Hurts to ever start a game. I was so emotionally invested in that. But then when I saw him play, that quickly turned around. As you can see, it's Hurts season. It
Sure.
quickly turned around.
Sure. Okay. I
So
don't hate that. Go ahead. I just had to ask, but go
no,
ahead.
no, no. That's a real good question.
Yeah.
So Dak's health, man. How concerned are you about Dak Prescott's health going into the season?
I'm good to go, man. Like modern medicine, bad ankle or whatever, he'll be fine. Like if you listen to some Cowboy fans, they'll act like his leg fell off or something. Nah, it's just an ankle injury. You know what I mean? And long as nothing got infected, it was cool. So
Yeah,
the break is clean, came back stronger, everything good to go. Don't worry about it. I've seen worse. Like what's the boy from Washington?
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith played football this year. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Dak is fine. That
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. No, no, yeah, yeah. Totally, I agree. And if you hear me talk about it, sometimes I do. I'm guilty of making it seem like it's worse than it is because
Yeah,
that's just my natural hate for the Dallas Cowboys.
of course.
But I've broken bones before,
Yeah,
and if that thing healed back stronger half of the time, it's not a tendon. So yeah, I'm pretty cool with that, man.
sure.
What's your expectations though, man? What are your expectations? So you're already saying you're gonna have a healthy Dak. Dak should be back around with his weapons. That defense should be revamped. What are your realistic expectations?
Well, you can't use the word realistic with me because, like, when I'm in fan mode, I'm like I said, I'm just like you. We going
Facts, facts,
we
facts.
going undefeated till somebody make us not undefeated no more. But in real life, I legitimately think that this league is an offensive league,
Mm,
and the Cowboys got one of them ones. You know what I mean? Top
yeah.
five, whatever you want to call it. I can say 2, 3, whatever. That just could be my fandom or whatever. But I think a fair thing to say is the Cowboys have a top 5 offense. The biggest impediment was the defense. Run defense in particular. I think we got some good pass players, but pass players don't mean nothing if you can't stop the run. You know what I mean? We got
Mm,
pass rushes, we got cover guys, we got some solid, linebackers in space. But Cleveland ran the ball 40 times. They didn't need to throw the ball. So in my mind, realistically, we were in one-score games with the best offense I've ever seen in my life and the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. We were all in one-score games. So realistically, in my mind, if we just get healthy and the defense just be middle of the road, because everybody wants every single player on your team to be Pro Bowls and elite. That's not realistic. You need a handful of top tier guys, handful of role players. Everybody else just can't suck terribly. You know what I mean? So in my mind, if we can get our defense like 18th, 19th, and just let that offense do what it's gonna do, I got good hope for us. We got 17 games this year, man. So what, like 13-4 or something like that?
I agree.
whatever number
I
it is.
agree, man, because a middle of the road defense can turn that switch in the playoffs. If you've been middle of the road all year, when playoff time come, you definitely elevate your play anyway. So yeah, man. Listen, man, y'all got a scary offense, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. Y'all got a real scary offense.
Mhm.
It all really depends on the game plan and the smarts of the coach, in my opinion, for the Dallas Cowboys. Because that clock, that 24 years or whatever it is of not being to a championship game, that
Yep.
can't last forever with
Yep.
the pieces that y'all got. So it's
Mhm.
only a matter of time before everybody that like to, crap on the Cowboys got to be silent because, y'all got listen, y'all got one of them ones like you just said, man. So
Yeah.
who would be your breakout player out of this draft class? Who would be your breakout player out of this draft class? Who you think is going to perform the best?
Man, so I got like two guys. So one, we
Mm-hmm.
have this we got this lineman from UCLA, Osa Odigizua, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's exactly what I said earlier, right? So he's a guy demon versus the run. When I first saw him in the Senior Bowl, and I watched his Arizona game. And I didn't think he was, all that or whatever, because Senior Bowl, we pass rushing. Arizona, they're going to throw the ball 50 times. So I'm like, this dude, all right. But when you dig into the film, he's 280 pounds. Everybody double team him, and they can't move him. That's what you need. If you're a defense that's down versus the run, you line that dude up day one. He has pass rush upside, but that ain't what we're looking for. We got pass rush. I want this dude to line up day one and stop the run so that my other pass rush guys can come in and pass rush. Year one, I think he's a very, very key piece. In the future, he could be a star. I don't know. That could just be me being Cowboy guy. And Jabril Cox. Just like we was talking about, man,
Yeah.
the league is moving forward to a passing league, man. And if you watch enough Eagles versus Cowboys, man, y'all will abuse Jalen Smith in the pass game. Jalen Smith don't turn that well because he had the drop foot. You get somebody to run behind him, he got to stop, pick up his leg, flip, and then turn. Hey, man, Jabril Cox don't do that, man. You watch film of him
Very
versus
fluid. Very
that
fluid.
dude, he's running around with slots. So,
Mm-hmm.
y'all got a running back, Gainwell. I love Gainwell.
Love him.
Memphis is like running back you now. You know what I mean? They just come out with a
Mm-hmm.
new guy every year. And Gainwell is a guy that can run with a little bit of power. But his passing is what's going to be top 10. And passing is probably why he's going to be RB2 for y'all, in Campo, maybe. You know what I'm saying? That's just my bold, guess or whatever. But Gainwell's the guy that's going to line up outside, and he's going to run wide receiver routes against you. You don't want to break base formation. So you take a guy like Cox, and you can keep base. You can just line him up at will or whatever, and you be like, all right, they got Gainwell out there going out there with him, and he'll go out there with him. And that's some of those key guys or whatever, right? I like Parsons, man. Parsons he's not a traditional Mike linebacker guy, but if it's third down, you line him up outside, tell him, hey, man, go rush. He'll go rush. You line him up in the mic, you tell him, hey, run down, go get the running back. He'll go do it. Something I think is a very important matchup. Tweeted this the other day. Quarterback spy, man, you are going to have to spy Jalen Hurts. I think Parsons got the athleticism to make that a good little fight. So we'll see what
Yeah, he got
happens.
safety speed. He got safety speed for sure at the linebacker position. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about, man? I was like, man, I hope y'all don't keep Alden Smith. Because he was showing some flashes last year, man. Because I knew y'all was gonna go defense, man. I'm glad y'all didn't keep him, man. That would have been scary, man, with the pieces that y'all already got, man. So I think our breakout player honestly could be Gainwell, either Gainwell or Jacoby Stevenson, man. Because Jacoby Stevenson, we didn't really get a traditional linebacker in this draft like everybody wanted us to.
That's
But
what
Jacoby Stevenson is a guy who can play linebacker, he can cover, and he can play safety. I think they're going to stick him at a lot of linebacker this year, though. But I think he could be a difference maker, man. It all comes down to if the coaches decide not to play favoritism ball. And Howie Roseman is one of those GMs who's in control of personnel for some weird reason. He's in control of who's active on a week-to-week basis. And that could just be crazy for us, man. So I like Gainwell a lot, man, for obvious reasons that you mentioned. Him being able to catch the ball, line up in the slot and stuff like that. So yeah, man, yeah.
Too. Marlon is a stud. Marlon Tui
From USC.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Run
He's
game guy.
I agree.
Run game guy.
As far as the D tackles that we picked up, it's all about who's going to be able to take advantage of Fletcher Cox being double teamed.
Sure.
We could not be able to find it because Fletcher Cox commands a double team. Then you had guys like Tim Jernigan who were paid to beat one-on-ones because of what Fletcher Cox brings to the table. But I think Javon Hargrave is going to be healthy. This is going to be a good year for the division, man. I think we're going to go from the least to really, making some noise.
Yeah,
I really do, man.
I agree.
I really do, man. So yeah, man. Yeah. So before we get out of here, man, what else you got going on, man? I'll be tapping into your film breakdowns, man. They real informative, man. What you got coming up for the week?
Man, I'm gonna take a long nap and just try to recover from this. I'm gonna watch fights and battle rap today. But after that,
Come on, man. What you know? My guy Easy gonna be watching this too, man. Easy the Block Captain. What you know about battle rap, man?
that's your
You be
guy.
on the battle rap?
That's your guy. I love battle rap, man. You know, my very first battle was Hitman and Arsenal, and
Okay,
then
yeah,
once
yeah,
I
yeah,
got there, I had to do my back research or whatever, watch the Smack era or whatnot.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
I've been rocking for about a decade now, since you know what I'm saying, since I've been in college. And I just
No, it's crazy how far this thing could take us. Easy's obviously from Philly. He's an Eagles fan. We just connected recently, man. So man, I'll probably be at one of these battles soon, man. It's gonna be dope. I'm definitely gonna be checking that out tonight as well, though, man. But man, yeah, man, you got some merch or something like that out there, man. Let's just send me all your links. We gonna plug everything you got going on, man.
100%, man. Let me hit this link because it's a weird looking one. Yeah, shop.spreadshirt.com/shop Lombardi. We got the right brick on my brick joints. I took Jerry Jones' face and I just kind of photoshopped him on Tony Montana because I'm ignorant as hell like that, and we just threw it on the shirt, man. So y'all be sure to check those out, man. Those dope.
Facts. A lot of Cowboys fans watch me too. They already know who you are, man. Make sure y'all check out my guy Voch Lombardi. Like I said, bro, I appreciate you sliding through, man, on this fine Saturday morning, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Salute. We'll do it again.
Yes, sir.